Good evening, everyone. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashchit dukkha bhag bhavet. Prameya Health welcomes you all for today's session on controlling diabetes by eating right. We at Prameya are driven to build healthy communities around us, and we continually work towards this mission. Prameya Health Private Limited is a preventive and a supportive health setup operational since 4 years. Sahai is our flagship program on cancer awareness, and we provide supportive and secondary preventive care through restorative yoga classes, psycho-oncology sessions, cancer nutrition, and lymphedema care. Pragna and Arogatam are our preventive and lifestyle modification programs, and Pragna focuses on awareness, which is conducted once every month. More than 3,500 people have benefited from our programs, and the list is growing. This session is about management of diabetes through right food choices and how timing of meals can help control your diabetes. Let me introduce our speaker for today. Dr. Lalita Priya is a senior nutritionist who has over a decade of experience in the field of weight loss, PCOD management, and diabetes management. Majority of her patients have benefited by her diet plans. They have not only lost weight, but also brought their sugar levels under control. We know that onset of diabetes and long-standing diabetes can give rise to various complications like heart and blood vessel diseases, kidney damage, sleep apnea, eye damage, etc. Therefore, in management of diabetes, a
I'm
good
not
diet
able to understand
becomes
what to do.
the
Not
cornerstone
able to.
of the treatment.
Do I have to use
So
the
let's
speakers?
see what our expert has to say.
Where
And
is the
before we begin the
speakers?
sessions, there are a couple of instructions for the session which I would like to uh, announce. One, please keep your phone camera off and also the microphone switched off for better audio. Questions will be taken up after the expert talk. And number three, you can type in your questions in the chat window available. With that, over to Dr. Lalita Priya. Thank you.
Thank you, Kripa. Good evening, everybody. Gives me great pleasure to be here this evening to share a few thoughts on how to manage diabetes with the right diet. Well, all of us have heard a lot about how we should go about eating our foods and how important it is to keep the blood sugar levels under control, especially in these trying times when there's so much of infection around and everybody's talking about improving immunity, building immunity. So here we are from Prameya to give you a few easy tips, easy ways to manage your blood sugar levels and eating the right kind of foods. Can I request Madhu to show the first slide, please? Yeah, so sorry for the technical snag. So this is the first slide, and we're talking about the glycemic index. This is a scale that ranks carbohydrates by how much they raise the blood glucose levels compared to a reference food. So what does this technically mean? It just means that it is in comparison to a food which raises the blood sugar levels to 100. Something like you have a white bread or you have glucose, and it is how quickly a food item raises the blood glucose levels, and it is a comparison with that. The next slide, please. Yeah. So these are the glycemic index ranges. So if you see, we have the low GI foods, which range between 0 to 55. And we have the intermediate GI, which range between 56 to 69. And the high GI, which is 70 or higher. Now, this looks a little confusing. So we would like to know in terms of the food that we consume and how does this number relate to what we eat. The next slide, please. Yes. So this is what I mentioned. The glucose is used as a reference item. So it's given, it's assigned a number 100. and relative to glucose, the various foodstuffs are given to a group of subjects, and then the sugar levels are measured over 2 hours. So if you see in this list, this is a little subjective because it's varying from population to population and the kind of impact the food has on each one's metabolism. So if you see here, the South Indian foodstuffs like rice, upma, idli, all of these are really high on the glycemic index scale. So if you see rice, it's 72, and idli, which we always thought was healthy and safe, is 80. Upma, again, we think it's a wheat product. We all think that, upma is safe to be consumed if you're diabetic. But look at the glycemic index, it's 75. On the other hand, if you see the pulses like rajma, soya beans, and chickpeas are quite low on the GI scale. So you see it's 29 and 43 and 28. What about banana? A lot of diabetic patients think that bananas are quite safe. But see, bananas are also pretty high. They're close to the high GI. It's 69. Potatoes, of course, I'm sure everyone knew it was quite bad for diabetes. So it's 85. Honey, a lot of patients ask me, instead of sugar, can I use honey? But honey is also very bad. See, it's 87. So, armed with this knowledge, what is it that we should be looking at? Now, we can't suddenly stop eating idli and upma and rice. How are we to manage our sugar levels then? So, you should start looking at another concept called glycemic load. So, what is glycemic load? Next slide, please. Yeah. So, glycemic load measures the degree of glycemic response and insulin demand produced by a specific amount of a specific food. So, if you look at the complications in this, see, it is also looking at the quality and the quantity of the dietary carbohydrates. It's not straightforward. It's not like how you had the GI. GL is a little complicated because it is also looking at the carbohydrates, that is grams, of the food per serving. So here there is an example of apple. A lot of patients ask me if apple is safe to be consumed. If you look at the GI, it's okay, it's 40, but the GL of apple is only 6 grams. That's because per serving, it has only 15 grams of carbohydrates. So it's safe. It's in the low GL category. I'll be coming to the different categories of GL in the next slide. So here, you have a low GL, which is 10 or less. The intermediate GL is 11 to 19. And the high GL is 20 or more. So here, if you see another example of rice, so we see that 1 cup of rice, the carbohydrate content is 43 grams. The GI is 83, but the glycemic load is 36, which is again high. And that is because of the amount of carbohydrates in that 1 cup of rice. So what is it that we should take home? What is the message from this? The message is, there is going to be carbohydrate in the rice, there is going to be carbohydrate in the upma, in the idli. But we will have to learn to bring down the glycemic load of the meal. How do we do that? Now, the best way to go about doing that is portion control. Portion control is very important because we think that, we are very good with our diets and we are eating minimal quantity of food and why the sugar is not coming down. So we are all the time worried. I'm eating so little, but my sugars are so high. So somewhere we need to develop this concept of portion control and have an idea of how much exactly we should be consuming on a meal-to-meal basis and keep the sugar levels under control. Here, you also need to combine your high glycemic index foods with items like fiber and protein. So a simple plate of idli, when it is combined with sambar, the glycemic load of the meal comes down. Similarly, when you are having roti, when you are having chapatis with just sabji, and there is no dal with the meal, the glycemic load will be high. So the minute you bring in a cup of dal, and if you throw in a big bowl of salad, dramatically the glycemic load of the meal will come down. Next slide. So why are we talking so much about glycemic index and glycemic load? Do you really think there are any benefits to lowering the glycemic index of the diet? Yes. Look at that big yes, and look at all the things that is going to help you deal with. Blood glucose levels are going to go down, cholesterol levels are going to go down, heart disease risk, type 2 diabetes risk, and of course weight. It's been documented through many studies that the minute you follow a low GL diet, weight loss happens efficiently. So there's no need to starve, there's no need to go on crash diets, there's no need to take supplements, nothing. Just eat healthy, but be careful about having a low GL meal all through the day. Definitely, you'll start seeing the waistline going down. Next slide, please. Yeah, the next slide. Yeah. So as I was talking to you about portion control, this is what we meant. If you look at the simple dosa that most of us are eating every day at home, the dietitian would have probably told you to eat a dosa which is in the center, which is around probably 80 grams and about 159 calories. But what do? We have that big dosa which is on the right hand side, and we feel that, oh my God, I'm still not feeling full. I think I should go for another 2 more dosas. But see the amount of calories that you're consuming with each dosa. How are the sugars going to come down? So if you reduce the portion size, you will feel hungry. So you make sure that you're having 1 or 2 cups of vegetables and at least 1 whole cup of dal or sambar to go with the dosa. You will definitely feel full after eating 2 dosas, which is in the center. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. This is the amount of rice. Most of my patients come and show me the hand and they tell me I'm eating so little. And rice is something which we've all grown up eating. But yes, rice is notorious for spiking the sugar levels and also for increasing weight. And unfortunately today, we are only having white rice and we keep looking at more white rice when we go buying rice. So remember, rice is a little dangerous. You can have very small quantities like what is mentioned there. The first one, on the extreme left, you have a small portion of rice. That's okay for lunch, but that's not going to fill up your stomach. So you can combine white rice with brown rice. That's another smart way to bring down the glycemic load of the meal. Instead of just using 100% white rice, make it 50% white rice and 50% brown rice. You'll have to soak the brown rice for about 15 to 20 minutes in hot water and then cook it with the white rice in a pressure cooker. And if you're going to be consuming the small quantity, maybe even if you can take a little more than the 70 grams of white rice, which is mentioned in the first slide, but combine it with a big bowl of salad and a cup of vegetables. And of course, 1 cup of dal or sambar, and you can check your sugar levels. You will be definitely within the normal range. Next slide, please. Next, please. Yeah. All right, so this is the fulkas. So part of a diabetic diet, we dietitians always recommend that you start eating fulkas. But again, please see that there is a difference in the size. So the amount of wheat flour that is taken in the preparation of chapati is very important. If you see that the first fulka that is there is only about 30 grams. And so the calories are also very less. But if you look at the other fulka, it's quite big and it's almost 200 calories. So imagine if you're trying to go on a chapati diet, but you're eating such big fulkas, the sugars are never going to come down. So again, even if you're going on a chapati diet, or even if you're trying to keep your weight under control and switching to chapatis, dry fulkas at night, remember to reduce the glycemic load by combining salads and a cup of dal, definitely with your fulkas. You will feel fuller after eating all that with just 2 fulkas. But if you don't have the salad and the dal, you will require probably 3 or 4 of the small sized fulkas. Your sugars are not going to come down. And this is something which we recommend to most of the diabetic patients. We tell them to have an adai dosa. This is a South Indian preparation, traditionally prepared with rice and dals. But we tell the diabetics to have it without rice. It can be ground, only the dals can be soaked and ground with spices, and you can make an adai dosa. And it's excellent for controlling the blood sugar levels. But again, see what's happening here. Can you see the 3 different sizes? And look at the big dosa, the big adai dosa, the last one. It's huge, and the calorific value is almost 400 calories. So look at it, even though it's a healthy dish, it's extremely good for diabetes, but look at the size. So the minute you have such a huge adai dosa, your sugars are not going to come under control. So again, try to have a moderate sized adai dosa, the one in the center. But yes, because it has a lot of proteins in it, you will probably have to combine it with some chutney or with a cup of curd. And I think with a bowl of salad, that's a fantastic, healthy meal to have and keep your sugar levels under control. So I think by now you would have got a fair idea of what we are talking about. But now I have a sample diet for you. So I think you can kind of relate to the size of the idlis and dosas and chapatis. So if you look at the whole day's trend, here we are asking you to eat healthy, and we're asking you to eat a smaller quantity, but frequently throughout the day. So it's not like you have just one meal in the morning and one meal in the evening. It's like you have a breakfast where combinations are given for idlis, dosas, chapatis, dalia. If you look at the mid-morning, we're asking you to have a small portion of fruit, which could be either a small apple or an orange or a musambi, or you could have a small cup of cut fruits, the seasonal fruits like watermelon or muskmelon or pomegranate or papaya. Or occasionally you could have a bowl of fruit chaat, slightly bigger than a small cup, but no fruit juices or no tender coconut water at all. Lunch is between 1 and 2. Try to have a big bowl of salad, like what we have been telling you. Fiber is extremely important for you to fill up and for you to also develop the concept of portion control. Followed by the salad, you can have 2 fulkas with 1 cup of dal or sambar, 1 or 2 cups of vegetables, cooked vegetables, preferably the green vegetables, not the root vegetables, with a cup of low-fat curd if possible, and 4 teaspoons of brown rice. Those who are non-vegetarians could swap some amount of lean chicken or fish for the 1 cup of dal. So there should be just 1 portion of protein. It shouldn't be dal and non-veg in the same meal, it's very similar to a dinner. The same salad, the fulkas, the dal. Of course, there's no rice at night. You could also have your vegetables and curds. No rice at night. In the evening, we have recommended a cup of tea or coffee, no sugar at all, and 2 Marie biscuits. You get lovely options nowadays. Sugar-free Marie biscuits are available. And the mid-evening is when all of us tend to feel hungry, and we look forward to something nice and hot, spicy. So no bhajis and bondas. You can have a cup of sprouts or sundal, or you could have a bowl of clear veg soup. You could add a little bit of dal in the veg soup so that it's quite filling. Have an early dinner, maybe 8:30, and give a gap of 1.5 to 2 hours before you go to sleep so that the sugar levels are stabilized. Yeah. So the oil for the whole day's cooking should not exceed 2 teaspoons, that is 10 ml per person per day. So it's important that you have control on the oil that you're using for your seasoning as well. Next slide, please. Yes. So we have some easy, simple tips for diabetes. These are the do's. Try to eat as much as complex carbohydrates as in wheat, bajra, and ragi. Use whole pulses like chana, rajma, soybean, And try to use soya flour in your daily diet, in the chapatis that you make. Eat plenty of green leafy vegetables and remember to have raw vegetable salads with lunch and dinner. Use a minimum amount of oil for cooking, preferably vegetable oils with no PUFAs and MUFAs, not more than 2 to 3 teaspoons of oil per person per day. And remember to eat 5 to 6 smaller meals rather than the traditional 3 big meals. When you eat a snack in between breakfast and lunch, you have better portion control when you sit down for lunch. Similarly, if you are hungry in the evening and you skip eating that mid-evening snack, you're going to be ravenously hungry by dinner time. So remember to have a small snack in between the meals. Next slide. Yes, so this is very important. Stay away from all the goodies, the puffs and the samosas, the cream and butter biscuits, and of course all your deep fried foods. The sugar, honey, jaggery and sweets all are equally bad, notorious. So it's not like jaggery is better and honey is better, no. Roots and tubers, especially carrots and beetroots. A lot of patients think that it's safe to consume. Maybe if the sugars are under control, you could have them occasionally, maybe weekly once. But if the sugars are fluctuating, then you better stay away from the carrots, beetroots, and all the roots. Groundnuts, cashew nut, badam, yes, you can have it occasionally, but if you're trying to lose weight, then it's not a great option. Coconut, I do agree that the South Indian diet is loaded with a lot of coconut and chutneys and stuff like that, but I think it's better we look at healthier options and try innovating with the other ingredients that are available in the kitchen. Butter or ghee, I mean, you can have a very small quantity, not on a daily basis, maybe very minimal quantities, special occasions or special dishes, not on a daily basis. So I hope you've got some important tips to take away from today's session. And over to you, Kripa.
Thank you, Dr. Lalita Priya.
Yes, thank you.
That was a very informative session. Madhu, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so we heard Dr. Lalita Priya talk about a lot of useful tips and how to manage your balanced meal throughout the day if you're a diabetic. Now, we would like to tell you a few things how we can help you at Prameya. Number one is nutrition consultation, which we do at Prameya for all diabetics, and a diet chart will come in handy because it's a personalized, tailor-made diet for you, wherein you can sit with our experts and take a diet chart along with you. And also, we run 3 months disease reversal programs for diabetics, which will help you with the weight loss and also a lot of control when it comes to your blood sugars. So please do call us for more information on this. And thank you, Dr. Lalita Priya, for a very informative session. Now, the session is open for question and answer. I would like to take up the questions now. Our first question is about salads. Please suggest on salads that rather than cucumbers and onions, can we innovate? Is the first question from Vaishali Rao.
Okay. So Vaishali, you could look at other vegetables. You could look at the colored capsicums. You could look at the yellow, green, and the red capsicum. You could look at cabbage, the white cabbage and the purple cabbage. You could look at lettuce leaves and combine all of these with spring onion. Nulkol is an excellent vegetable for salads. Again, you could use radish. Probably you'll just have to mix and match these in different combinations. So a simple onion, tomato, cucumber salad is what everyone is comfortably eating most of the time. So probably start incorporating one by one these vegetables that I mentioned and see which combination suits you the best, because you may not be able to handle all the vegetables at the same time. So try doing it in bits and pieces. Keep adding one by one, and then probably you will get a very colorful plate in a few days. So you will have a little bit of green and yellow and red and purple and white. So it will really be tempting. You'll really look forward to eating salads on a daily basis. It will not be boring stuff. And you could try innovating with the dressings as well. Most of the times we just look at a simple nimbu. Of course, nimbu and vinegar, all these help to bring down the glycemic load of the meal as well. But you could also try adding hum curd. You could add some chutneys to it. Maybe you could add a tomato chutney or pudina chutney. So the same onion, tomato, cucumber, instead of having it in a boring way, you could, innovate with different dressings, and it'll be something to look forward to then.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Lalita. I think you have answered Vaishali's question. Mr. Rajgopal Hinduja is asking if you can list out the fruits which are allowed for diabetics.
Yes. So please make a note, sir. Apple is safe. One whole apple, a small sized apple, the Washington apple, or one full orange, or one musambi, or one guava, or one full pear. If it is a slightly bigger sized apple, if it is a Fuji apple, you could have half of it. Try having these, with the skin as far as possible. Wash it thoroughly in salt and vinegar water if you have doubts on the wax coating. So you could just soak it in salt water with little vinegar added to it and rub it well and rinse it, and you could use it with the skin, with the peel. So the apple is really good that way. Or you could have one small cup of cut fruits. Now the cut fruits could be either watermelon or muskmelon or pomegranate or papaya. One small cup would be approximately around 150 ml. So you could have cut fruits to that much quantity. You can increase the quantity maybe around 200 ml of a variety of fruits, whatever I have mentioned. You can add a little bit of apple, a little bit of pomegranate, a little watermelon, a little papaya, add a little chaat masala, and you could have that as well occasionally. But no fruit juices. You're not allowed bananas, mangoes, chicus, jackfruit, pineapple, custard apple, and grapes. All varieties of grapes are high in sugar. So these are the forbidden fruits for diabetes.
Thank you, Lalita. We move on to the next question.
Yes.
Mrs. Vasumati Shekhar, I'm sorry, this would call for a consult or a consultation, because you're asking us why does my FBS increase, and we think there could be various reasons, and without looking at your diet and lifestyle pattern, we would be wrong if we suggest anything during this session. So I would request you to please contact us, and we'd definitely love to help you with that. Mr. Ramesh Ranjan is asking about ragi and sprouts. What's your take on that?
Ragi and sprouts.
Yes.
Okay, so ragi is a healthy snack. It's a healthy cereal. And if you're planning to have ragi either in the breakfast or lunch or dinner, perfectly fine. But portion control is very important, because it's again a high glycemic index cereal. It comes in the same category as rice. It's only that the fiber content is a little more in ragi. So remember that you cannot have a ragi porridge. The typical ragi amli, which is famous in Karnataka, it's only applicable for farmers who are working in the fields under the hot sun. Not applicable for us sitting inside the house and with an AC or fan. The sugars in ragi are going to really shoot up. So you'll have to look at just having maybe ragi idlis, ragi dosa, ragi mudde, again a very small size ragi mudde. It's just the size of a musambi that you're allowed to have, the portion control again for lunch. And you could definitely have ragi as a dinner also. You could have ragi roti or ragi dosa in the night for dinner. Again, not more than 2 or 3. Sprouts is a very healthy option. You can have that as your mid-evening snack. Depending on how good the digestion is, you could have it raw, or you could have it steamed, or cooked also. So that's again extremely good for controlling the sugar levels.
Mr. Ramesh, I think Dr. Lalita has answered your question. We now move on to Mrs. Satyalakshmi, who was asking about, can I have chia seeds?
Oh yes, you can have chia seeds, and it's good for health. And you could also soak it in water overnight and drink it in the morning, cooling as well. So perfectly fine. It won't affect your sugar levels.
The next question is about rotis. Can rotis be had in the morning as breakfast? Mr. Balaji is asking.
For breakfast?
Yes.
Yes, if you're able to handle it, you can have roti all the 3 meals. Roti for breakfast might get a little boring. So maybe you could have maybe a vegetable paratha or paratha, a radish paratha, or an onion paratha just to bring in variety. But rotis are fine all the 3 meals, no issues.
I'm sure Mr. Balaji liked your answer, Dr. Lalita. We now move on to Ms. Savita, who's asking about how do I add sweetness to my diet? What can be used? And some people are saying that organic jaggery can be used.
See, jaggery is jaggery, whether it's organic or non-organic. It's just unrefined sugar. So the only benefit is that there are some minerals in jaggery in comparison to the refined sugar that we get in the market. So it is going to spike up the sugar levels. If you really want to sweeten something, you could probably look at low-calorie sweeteners. Maybe stevia is an option. I wouldn't recommend sucralose because there are a lot of studies to say that that has side effects too. Saccharin is almost out, and aspartame is kind of banned all over the world now. So we are left only with stevia. Studies are still going on, and we really don't know how safe it is. But if it is an occasional dessert or an occasional thing you want to prepare, I think you could look at stevia as a sweetener. But if it is jaggery, yes, it's going to spike up the sugar levels. You have to be prepared. Maybe a very small portion, if you're making a payasam or something, maybe a very small portion. Make sure you've eaten a big bowl of salad and you've reduced the quantity of rice in that meal, and maybe a little bit of your payasam you can have in case you really want.
Okay, so thank you, Lalita. I hope we have answered Savita. Vasumati Shekhar is asking, if I'm taking medicine in the night for diabetes, what should I have in the night as a diet, as a meal?
No, I didn't understand. Medicine?
Yeah, I think she's taking her medicine in the night for diabetes.
Okay.
So therefore, what should I eat is her question.
So she has to eat a proper diabetic meal only. She cannot be eating rice, definitely. And the options are either fulkas or ragi roti or ragi dosa at night. Occasionally, if she's able to handle, she can have an adai dosa also. Definitely the fiber is important. She definitely has to have a bowl of fiber, the salads. And if it is chapati, the fulkas or ragi roti or ragi dosa, she can have a cup of dal or sambar to go with it with a lot of vegetables. But if it is an adai diet that she is having, then salad with adai and maybe a cup of curd would be fine for her to maintain postprandial sugar levels. So if she does this continuously, she should see a reduction in her post-dinner sugar levels.
Okay, so we move on to the next question. Ms. Sandhya is asking, in present situation with COVID-19, can we have salads because we need to wash them many times? How safe is it?
Well, see, ideally, the minute you bring anything into the house, it's better to wash it, whether you're going to cook it or eat it raw. Now, just because salads are going to be consumed raw, if you soak it in salt water with a little bit of baking powder added to it for about 10 to 15 minutes and rinse it thoroughly in running water, I think it's perfectly safe to consume. Nothing to worry. So every time you bring anything into the house, whether it's vegetables or fruits, just run the whole thing in tap water and leave it to dry. And whenever you're going to use the vegetables for your salads, just take them, soak them in salt water with a little bit of baking powder for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, scrub it well, rinse it under tap water, and you can start using it for your salads. Nothing to worry. The virus will not be there.
Yeah, that's a relief. Thank you, Dr. Lalita. We move on to the next question. Mr. Ravi is asking, what do you suggest for people with a sweet tooth? How do they, cope with the cravings?
All right. So, well, yes, all of us have sweet cravings, and I'm sure it's the same for diabetics as well. So, see, maybe you could have a little bit of dates, maybe one date. When you really feel the craving, you could chop it up into small bits and keep it in the fridge. So whenever you have that real urge to eat something sweet, you could take a small bit of that and put it in your mouth and allow it to, completely coat your oral cavity before you actually chew and take it in. Similarly, you could probably keep a few raisins. When it is cold in the fridge, then you don't require too much of it. A little bit of it is also good enough. You feel nice in the oral cavity and your cravings are satisfied. Yes, you'll have to just manage with these kind of simple things. We're not going to be recommending chocolates and cakes. Sorry.
So that's some sweet advice coming from you. Thank you so much. Mr. Ravi also goes on and asks about methi seeds, bitter gourd, moringa, and such vegetables. How often can we use this?
All right. So there is a lot of scientific evidence to show that methi seeds, the fenugreek seeds, are beneficial in lowering the blood glucose levels and blood lipid levels. So it's suggested that if you're able to handle it, you could soak a teaspoon of methi seeds overnight and take it in the morning. And again, soak a teaspoon in the morning and take it in the night before your meals, before breakfast and dinner. You'll start seeing your sugar levels go down, and it kind of improves the insulin sensitivity. So it's scientifically proven. We have evidence for this. Unfortunately for moringa, the drumstick, and for Karela, the bitter gourd, we don't have too much of evidence to say that it is really helpful across the population. So it's subjective. For certain people, they are seeing very good results. Some of them say they've been doing this for days and not even a single reading has come normal. So it's extremely subjective. So there's no harm in trying it. Of course, Karela is very good for health and you could do it on a weekly basis. Moringa, all parts of the drumstick tree is very healthy. The leaves, the flowers, the vegetable, everything is good. But you can use it in your regular diet, but really not sure how much it's going to benefit the sugar levels. But yes, methi, scientific evidence is there. A lot of studies are there to say that it's very beneficial. So you could start doing that. If you find it difficult to take methi, soaked methi, you could just dry roast it in a kadai, make a powder, and use it, maybe just sprinkle a teaspoon on your salads or maybe on your palyas, and you could still be consuming it. You will still see benefits. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, Dr. Lalita. We now move on to Ms. Rupa BL. Ms. Rupa, we would love to take this question. Many of the nutritionists only say about these foods, the foods we talked about. Why is it that you don't talk anything about millets as high levels of proteins and fiber content? Dr. Lalita Priya, over to you.
Okay. Yes, millets. Yeah, there's a lot of rage about millets right now, and they are high glycemic index, Rupa. So, like I told you, portion control. If they are able to control the portions, then yes, millets are absolutely good, and you can use it in your regular meals. But unfortunately, just because we think millets are healthy, we tend to go overboard and we eat a lot of it, ending up with high sugar levels, high glycosylated hemoglobin, abdominal obesity increases, and people are totally at a loss. So that's the only reason why we are a little skeptical. We Indians have to learn portion control. Somewhere that concept is not clear in our mind. So that's the reason why we are a little scared to go over, and tell you, please have millets. We're scared. It's as scary as eating rice. People have realized that rice is something which you should eat occasionally and eat in small quantities. The same holds good for millets. Just because it's high in fiber and proteins, you can't eat too much of it. You have to eat a small controlled portion. Hope that answers your question, Rupa.
Yeah, I'm sure Rupa must have, she must be surprised with how much of high GI it comes with, because there is a rage about millet. It's a revolution which is happening around us. Thank you, Lalita. Now we move on to Mr. Surya Narayan Sundaram, who is also giving us a little piece of compliment. He says, I've actually benefited by the diet which you have showcased in your presentation, and I'm out of medicines currently and sugars are under control. Congratulations, Mr. Sundaram. And he also has a question. Is yam allowed in a diabetic diet?
No. Unfortunately, no. All the root vegetables, the carrot, beetroot, yam, potato, colocasia, tapioca, all these are going to shoot up the sugar levels. But if it is an occasional meal, if it is once in a blue moon, like some festival or something, and a very small quantity of yam or colocasia, it could be allowed, but then not on a regular basis. And even if the sugars are under control, we always have to remember that our body has gone through a situation where the insulin was not working, and that is why we were on diabetic medicines. So the minute we slip up a bit, the system is going to go back to that same condition. And again, we'll be forced to take medicine. So we will have to maintain a strict control on our dietary habits for a long time. So occasionally, yes, because you're off medicines and if everything is going well, you're maintaining your weight, then yes, you can have occasionally, maybe once in 10 days or 15 days, a small portion of yam curry, but not on a regular basis, not weekly at least.
So that's a clear no from a nutritionist to yam. Mr. Sundaram, I hope we have answered your question. We now move on to Ms. Deepa, who's asking, can dates be used instead of sugar? Dates.
I didn't get your question, sorry.
Can dates be replaced for sugar? Dates.
On a daily basis?
Yeah, I think she means replacing sugar altogether with dates.
No, I'm sorry, no, I don't think I will be able to give you permission to do that. They are high in sugars. And if you really can't get off sugar, if your sugar levels are okay, if you're under control, your sugar levels are under control, and you still have this craving to have a little bit of sugar, instead of dates, maybe you can switch over to brown sugar, organic brown sugar, and see what you do. Completely avoid sugar in your coffee and tea for 3 or 4 days. So it will be quite difficult for you to consume the tea or coffee, which is quite bitter. Then you start adding just 1/4 teaspoon of brown sugar to it, and you will be fine. That little bit of sugar is not going to affect your sugar levels dramatically. But somewhere you would have understood the concept of controlling the portion. That is the amount of sugar that your body can handle, provided the medicines are going in and provided you're able to keep your postprandial sugars under control. So that is one thing we can allow you, but you definitely can't make a shift to dates. You simply can't have dates on a regular basis in place of sugar. And a lot of people start using the lion date syrup in the market, trying to sweeten coffee and tea, which is a strict no-no. That's loaded with sugar. So you simply can't make that kind of a switch. So a little bit of the brown sugar is okay. As long as your sugars are fine, your medicines are going in properly, you're going for your regular checkup. So instead of having white sugar, you can probably move to organic brown sugar.
Yeah, I think Deepa got her query answered. We now move on to Mr. Nagamohan, who says that he has been using a grated nolkol in the morning and that seems to help him. What's your take?
Grated nolkol in the morning on an empty stomach?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, great. So very good. So that's nice. If it's helping him, then very good. Let him continue doing that.
Okay. Ms. Arfa is asking, will taking maida every day increase the sugar levels?
Will taking maida?
Yeah.
Oh, maida is a strict no-no. It's refined wheat flour. Although it comes from wheat, the outer husk is completely removed in the milling process and it raises the blood sugar levels. So maida is a strict no-no. No maida rotis, no maida bread if you're trying to control your sugar levels.
Okay. So, Arfa, I think we have answered you. There is a question about exercise. Will a short walk sometime after a meal help bring down the sugars? Ms.
Yes.
Vasumati is asking this.
Yes. A short walk, maybe just about 15-20 minutes after a meal will definitely bring down the sugar levels post-meal, and it improves the sensitivity of insulin to glucose molecules because there is muscle activity happening. So it is recommended that you can walk, especially for the gestational diabetics. We always recommend a 15-minute slow walk post each of the meals, each breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Each time they have to walk for 15 minutes, and they have seen dramatic reductions in the blood glucose levels. So it is good, but then sometimes it may not be always possible to go for a walk after lunch, or maybe if it is raining or something, it may not be possible after dinner as well. So you could probably walk inside the house and you will see some reduction in the sugar levels.
Thank you, Lalita. We now move on to Mr. Arul, who is asking about can we take soaked almonds? Is it safe to take about 10 nuts soaked overnight?
10 almonds.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not know whether he wants to improve his brain function. He's taking 10 every day. I don't know. But you can have around 4 on a daily basis, not beyond that. Because almonds again are high calories. So if you look at the carbohydrate content in almonds and cashew and pistachios, it's low sugar, low carbohydrate, but very high fat. Although they're supposed to be healthy fats, in the long run, we are going to put on weight consuming this on a daily basis. So if you can restrict to just 4 or 5 almonds on a daily basis, that would be good enough, sir. Not 10 on a daily basis.
Yeah, Mr. Arul, I think we answered your question. Ms. Arfa is also asking, as this COVID-19 is going on, the medicine timing has changed, and so will this affect the sugar levels? What has to be done? Ms. Arfa, I think you should not change the timing of your medicine whatsoever, despite COVID-19. I think Dr. Lalita, you can answer her.
Yeah, I think you're right, Kripa. There's no way you can change the medicine timings. And you will have to keep your, if the medicine is supposed to be taken before a meal, then you will definitely have to take your meals also on time in conjunction with your medicines.
Yeah, that's very important. Ms. Pooja is asking, Ms. Pooja, I still think, we can help you with a one-on-one consultation, but however, I would like to, pass on this question to Dr. Lalita. Hi, I am pregnant and diabetic. I'm taking diabetes food like ragi dosa, broken wheat, rice, etc. But still the sugar values increase above 140. So please let me know what to do.
Yes, so definitely you will have to have fiber in your meals. I do not know if you have met a dietitian. You definitely have to meet a dietitian and take her help. She'll plan a structured diet chart for you. And you will have to have fiber, adequate fiber in your lunch and dinner. And try to have a lot of proteins. Since you're pregnant, protein is mandatory for the baby's growth. A lot of times girls come and tell me that they are finding it difficult to cook. So you can have simple items like besan chila, which is easy to just mix with water, and you can make a dosa with besan, which is again high protein. You could probably just add some fried gram chutneys. You can just make and add that with your meal. So something which is easy, but you'll have to keep your protein and fiber intake adequate and keep the carbohydrates low. So although you're eating chapatis and dalia and ragi items, it's again the portion control. You will have to keep it to a minimum and have the other fillers in your diet. And just continuing this question on gestational diabetes, usually we tend to see a spike in sugar levels in the breakfast readings with pregnant girls, simply because the progesterone levels are high in the morning. And it's recommended that you have a high protein breakfast. So even if you want to have a chapati or a ragi dosa in the morning, try to bring it down to just 1 and have 2 cups of sambar or dal to go with it. And if you can have a little bit of chana, that's also fine. And chana curry is also fine to go with your chapati in the morning. Or you could have a pesarattu or adai dosa. The adai dosa, like we recommended, without rice in it, that's an excellent breakfast item for gestational diabetics. You'll immediately see a reduction in your sugar levels if you start doing adai dosa.
I think Pooja, whatever Dr. Lalita said has answered your query. But in case you are still in doubt and want to clarify, I think you should visit our center. We are open for consultations. We now move on to Ms. Vasumati. She says there is this belief that cut and soaked lady's finger on an empty stomach helps. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I've heard this from many of my patients, and they have all tried it, but unfortunately there hasn't been success with it. And it's quite difficult for them to consume that sticky liquid with the lady's finger. So don't torture yourself. There's no scientific evidence to it. Instead, you could try the fenugreek seeds, the methi seeds. definitely will help to bring down the sugar levels. Give that a shot.
Yeah, thank you. So Dr. Gauri Gajendran here is talking about her husband who has diabetes since 10 years and he has atrial fibrillation taking coagulants. Any specific diet for him to make blood thin naturally? What to include, what to avoid?
Okay, so the blood thinners, see, the best thing would be cinnamon. A little bit of cinnamon on a daily basis is proven to act as a blood thinner. That could be done. And that's also supposed to have some benefits for the sugar levels. So if we can include maybe half a teaspoon, that's fine on a daily basis. Apart from that, I think he'll just have to be a little careful about the amount of fats in the diet. So if he's not having too much of saturated fats, the viscosity of the blood will be less. And of course, he needs to have a lot of fiber, plenty of water. The fiber and fluid is mandatory, but he has to be a little careful about the fat in the diet. So even from sources like groundnuts and coconut, so there's a tendency for the blood to become a little thick and viscous because of oil droplets. So he has to be a little cautious about that.
Yeah, I think we have answered Dr. Gauri. Sneha BS here is asking, does having Navil Kosu, I think we covered that, garlic early in the morning, empty stomach, help in controlling sugars? Is it a fact or a myth?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think I have any scientific evidence for that. And a lot of people have also been doing garlic on an empty stomach to reduce cholesterol and triglycerides. Apart from getting gastric irritation, they haven't seen much benefits in the lipid levels. So I don't think it's advisable. And if at all you want to incorporate garlic, I think it's better you just crush a few pods of garlic when the rasam is boiling, the last boil of the rasam or the dal, so that you have those phytochemicals which are just released from garlic, the allicin compounds are just released, and you get the full benefit of using garlic in your diet. That's a better way to incorporate garlic than having it on an empty stomach in the morning. As far as I know, I do not know of any scientific evidence for reducing sugars, garlic reducing sugars. No, I do not.
Okay, so we've answered Sneha. Ms. Maithili here is asking, what is the recommendation for blood sugar levels in the morning, pre-prandial and post-prandial, to check regularly when we don't have an access to checking our HbA1c often?
All right, so first of all, it depends on how good your glucometer is, how accurate that is. And yes, the fasting blood sugars should be less than 110, and the postprandial should be between 140 to 150, 1.5 hours post the meal. If you can keep your blood sugars less than 100 and your postprandial sugars in the range of 130 to 140, then that's excellent. But even if it is between 140 to 150, do not worry, do not panic. And if your fasting is around 110 or 115, you'll have to start looking at your dinner, meal, your meal timing, and the quality of the food that you're eating in the night, because that is reflecting in your fasting blood sugar levels. And whatever said and done, the best way to judge if the sugars are under control is by taking a 3-month average, which is the glycosylated hemoglobin. So once a while, at least once in 6 months, please go for that test and get it done in the lab and maintain a file so that you can see how good your sugar control has been over the years. Usually what happens is when we get patients post the festival season, post Diwali and all, the last 2-3 months before Diwali, there's been a lot of eating and feasting. So the HbA1c tends to be high. So that's a warning that, even if you're eating during festivals, you have to be a little careful and eat in smaller quantities, because that gives you a clear picture at the end of 3 months. So when they come for a blood test and they just do a fasting and PP, it is just on that particular day or the previous night. But an HbA1c is an indicator of how bad our diet has been over the last 3 months. And then we need to take corrective action.
Yeah, I think Maithili has got her numbers, which she was asking for. Now we move on to last two questions since we are, almost coming to the end of the session. One is, will cooking rice in the traditional way, filtering out the starch, the ganji, help reduce the glucose level?
Um,
I think we can just stick to a quick yes or a no.
okay,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. There's still enough starch in it to uh, keep the sugar levels high. So you'll still have to do a portion control.
Okay. Vasumati, filtering out the starch or the ganji will not make the rice rid of carbohydrates or the starch. The starch would still be present in it. So you got to be cautious. The last question of the session is Mrs. Chandrika, who is saying, I'm a diabetic from past 4 years and I need to know if it is good to take amla on regular basis.
Oh, yes. It's very good to take it on a regular basis, and don't take it in the form of a jam or a murabba with honey and jaggery, but you can have it in chutneys and pickles, low oil pickles, and it's rich in vitamin C. The higher the vitamin C in blood, the better is the sensitivity of insulin towards glucose molecules. So yes, amla is great to have on a regular basis.
Yeah. I think with that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, Dr. Lalitha Priya, for a wonderful session on diabetes and the management of diabetes with right food choices. We thank everyone for logging in for the session. We hope you have found this useful. We extend our gratitude to the entire Prameya team who have worked towards making this a success. Please remember that Prameya Health is open for nutrition consultation. Kindly use the number 73494-72210 to book your appointments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Take care. Bye.